choosing the right agency is the recruiting process, biggest decision you can make. Important thing is for players who come from Europe, where they play completely different style of soccer, is being open.
During your USL2 locker room, is there a lot of networking in players like, hey, can I come to your school, do you think?
Absolutely. You bond so much with those guys over the summer because you're only there, you're in the same city, you train all the time, you have so many games, you really bond with that team. And then the idea of okay, maybe I get one or two friends into my team, or maybe you can help me out to get into that certain team, right? That's something that happens all the time.
From the moment that you sign your release papers and go in the portal, what happens?
Every school reaches out to you. That's only a very few percentage, and for the rest, it can be a really hard reality. So you really have to think about it, doing it or not, because if it doesn't work out, most of the coaches don't take you back because basically you decided to leave.
How does Rutgers squad come together and get recruited to play at Rutgers?
A big part is, as you mentioned before, it's networking. I think in general, college soccer is so much about networking, and I think a lot of schools get their players from resources they trust.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Select Generation podcast. Today we're joined by Joschi Schelb, if my German accent is correct, and he's currently playing at Rutgers. He's been named on the Big Ten preseason watch list. Obviously at this time of recording we're just into the season and he's having a really good season so far. And I'm excited to talk to Joschi because he is an active current college soccer player. So previously on the podcast, a lot of my friends and the people that we've been talking to have been kind of ex-college players, professional coaches, players that are pursuing the college game. But Joschi is someone that's actively playing NCAA Division 1 soccer. He's from Germany. He's got a really interesting story where he's been before. He's a transfer student. Before he went to Rutgers, he was at St. Francis, another Division 1 school. So yeah, Joschi, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. For someone that's listening to this, that's a player that wants to play college soccer, what would you say is the reason why you've been successful in the NCAA?
I think the most important thing is for players who come from Europe, where they play completely different style of soccer, is being open. Be open for very different style of soccer. Be open for teammates. They learn to play for years, just in a different kind of way to play the game, and be open. Try still to bring your strength you learn from Europe, no matter where you're from England, Germany, France, whatever. Be open and try to adjust, but also don't forget your strength. And I think if you do that and not get frustrated in the beginning, because it can be hard in the beginning. I remember when I arrived, I was oh shit, what's going on here? It's a completely different kind of game. The rules are different with players get subbed on and off. It's way quicker, way more physical. But if you stay open for that, if you're ready to learn and still kind of bring your strength into that game, I think you can be really successful.
Amazing, Joschi. So for someone that's listening to this that doesn't really know who you are and what your story is, so you grew up in Germany, you came to the NCAA, you went to St. Francis and you transferred. What is your story from when you were 16? Because I'm assuming at 16, 17, 18, you realized that you wanted to go to America. So from 16 to now, what's your kind of story?
To be honest, I didn't know that I wanted to go to America for a while. So when I was 16, 17, it was I was kind of I would say peak of my career, a German national team invites, and I was okay, I'm going pro for sure. That was kind of my whole life. I was I never had really a big setback. And then beginning of 17, me and my club decided to go different ways. And it was the time during COVID, and I decided not to transfer to a different big club. I decided to almost stop playing soccer for almost 1.5 years. Because was not really a really nice separation between me and the club. It got a little bit ugly over contract stuff kind of things, whatever. So I decided to stop playing soccer, and for 1.5 years, I barely played a little bit 5th division, which is still a decent level in Germany, but I was not really focused anymore on making it pro. But I realized I traveled a lot with friends, traveled to Asia, traveled to Scandinavia. I realized that like I really miss, because I was always like a competitive person. I really miss this competitive environment. I really miss being around people that try to get better every day. So a friend told me that he's studying in America. I knew from the academy, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you like come over here? Like you can study, you can play soccer too." And I had a during my academy days, I had like a mental coach who helped me with like time management, how to control emotions on the field, and he got me in contact with my agency. And I was like, "Yeah, why not? I want to study. I want to play soccer on a high level again." So I just decided, just pretty spontaneous, to come over to the US, and yeah, that's how I ended up in San Francisco.
Amazing, amazing. So for someone that's listening to that really understand how the internationals come to America, because I came from England, I used an agency and I had no idea what I needed to do. I could have been go
Yeah.
high school was like a thousand people, and then we have UCLA on the movies or these big party schools. I thought I was going to that. So for you, how was your experience with your agency? Like what did they do for you?
I had a great experience. I still working with them, so I owe them a lot because they did a lot of things for me. So how it started was like in the beginning, you just have some phone calls. They ask you, "Hey, do you really want to do this? This is what like those are the opportunities. This is what could happen." And then you kind of like buy in and feel like, okay, like that could be like an amazing thing. And then you have to do a lot of paperwork, to be honest, in the beginning, but it's super worth it. But like, yeah, it's a lot of paperwork with the visa and all that kind of stuff. And then you do like a highlight video. You write down your soccer resume, school resume, and then you get kind of like they pull you into this like player pool, and then send out emails to different schools where they think you can fit in. And then you have a lot of interviews with other schools. They reach out to you, a lot of phone calls, text messages. It's actually like almost insane. For me, I knew it was like, I don't know, I had like 50, 60 schools I was in contact with, and I was like, oh shit, like what's going on here?
So
But
that's
no,
it. Because some players have a different experience with agents, right? Because someone might be listening to you and be like, wow, he had 60 schools talking to him. I can't get one or two. So why do you think that you had 50, 60 schools messaging you?
um, I personally think it's because my agency was really well connected. Like, and I think that's one of the big things I realized. Like, choosing the right agency is almost in like the recruiting process, maybe the biggest decision you can make. Like, actually having people like they care about you, and they like want to like they know you really well, so they can represent you really well. And they're like actually trying to get you into a school, because I think if they like got like have like good players in the past, like schools are interested to find more players from them. And if they like again like represent you like a really good way of like a good highlight tape, um, and just make sure that schools are really interested, I think it's pretty easy that a lot of schools at least reach out to you. If you end up going there, it's a different thing. But like having an agency that really wants you to find the best school for you, that's I think it's the key thing.
So for you, Yoshi, coming over, I know at the start you're talking a little bit about it's so different. So for someone that is listening to this, it's like, what? Why? How is Germany different to America? Because we have sent players like to Spain, for example, to England, and they talk about how it's so different. And when I was in college and I was talking to all my friends, we would always talk about like how it's so different with the rules and everything. But if I ask you, Yoshi, how is football in America different to Germany? What do you say?
Uh, there are a lot of things, but I would say the most important thing that is different is like it's just way faster, in a way of it's from like back and forth, because of like the sub rule, because of the way they play. It's not like how in Europe like you have like teams that keep possession, a lot of tactics, and it's more like get the ball and straight to goal, and you have that game kind of like for 90 minutes. So it's the intensity. I would say the intensity of the game. That's the biggest difference for sure.
And so you've obviously played at the Division One level, and I know you played USL two over in Seattle. What do you think are the differences between Division One and two, Division One and three players?
I mean, we had my USL2 team, for example, we had like guys from Ohio State who went to the top four last year, right? A lot of Big Ten ACC players, like which are the best of the best in D1, but also we had like D3 guys, D2 guys. So I would say the biggest difference is I would say the understanding of the game, because you have D2 guys, they can fight, they're really passionate, and they're really good. It's not like the D3 or D2 level is like a joke or anything. Those guys are really good too. I think the biggest difference is really like the understanding of how to control a game over 90 minutes, when, like, what you have to do in certain phases of the game. I think that's like what separates like a D1 player from D3, D2.
So for someone that's listening to this, listening to you as a Division One player, and they're thinking, "Wow, Yoshi, I want to play for your team," right? I'm not sure if players DM you, or they say, "Hey, Yoshi, can you talk to my coach?" But if there was a player that messaged you, "Hey, Yoshi, can you talk to my coach?" What would make you think, "Okay, I like this player, I'm going to send him"? Is it a good video? Is it the level that he's played at? Is it because you do some research about him and he's good? Like, if I message you, can you talk to my coach at the Division One level? What would make you say yes?
Um, I think what people have to think about when they DM other players, because I have that. That happens to me so quite sometimes. So think about like every player has like a super busy life, right? Like you have school, soccer, your private life.
No,
So
no, but what I'm saying is in terms of like the player as a player, like let's say that you have time and you're looking at his video and you're like, okay, I like this player. Like, what would make you be like, okay, coach, we need him?
yeah, no, because why I said that is because like so the time you don't have like that much time to look at stuff. So I think the video is so key. The video is so key. If I see like someone DMing me and I look into the video and I see something in that, I see like, oh hey, he's really good, or I see a lot of like good stuff. Then I'm like maybe reaching out to my coach and be like, hey, this guy sent me a video. It looks really good. Maybe we should do some research on him. Because like I think the research starts when you kind of like see something in the players. So I think the highlight video or like the shortcut videos you send to someone, I think that's the most important thing to get the attention to then have like further more conversations.
Interesting, interesting. And I want to talk on this a little bit because I obviously we're like an agency select generation, so we're helping players like get college offers or learn what they need to do to network. And I think one piece of advice that I have been giving recently is like you should DM the coach on Insta because all the players are like, yeah, I email the coach, but he never replies. So I'm like, a good way might be to email the DM on Instagram the coach, DM on Instagram one of the players, and you might get like some response there. So I want to touch too also on USL two because I think putting yourselves in these kind of scenarios is really important. I know when I played USL two, you're in a locker room full of guys, NAIA, JUCO, D3, D2, D1, and everyone is talking. And that's kind of what I did. Like when I was at a Division two school and I used like the USL two to network in the locker room. I was going to ask you, like during your USL two locker room, is there a lot of networking and players like, hey, can I come to your school, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you bond so much with those guys over the summer because like you're only there, you're in the same city, you train all the time, you have so many games, you really bond with that team. And then the idea of like, okay, maybe I get one or two friends into my team, or like maybe he can help me out to get into that certain team, right? That's something that happens all the time. I have so many guys from my summer league team that I even offered myself. I was like, hey, if you guys like a D2 player, or like a maybe like a little smaller D1, I'm like, hey, I really like this guy. I think he's really good. I'm like, hey, could you imagine like playing for Rutgers, for example? Oh yeah, I would love to. Okay, like let me talk to my coach, and that happens all the time. So I think it's vitally important if you decide to play summer league to connect with the guys in the locker room and just throw it out there, like because it happens all the time, like 24/7. And yeah, I think that's why it's so important if you want to go the next step. I think in your like NCAA career, play summer league and be open to like talk to other guys, to network, because they can like change your whole life basically.
So for you, Josh or Yoshi, why did you transfer? Like you were at St. Francis. Why did you think, okay, I want to go to a different school?
Um, because like St. Francis was an amazing school. Don't get me wrong; it's like a really nice D1 school, like small. super like family kind of like. And when I went to America, like couldn't speak really good English, like didn't know what to expect. So I wanted to be in a place first where I felt kind of like home, like comfortable. And St. Francis had like a lot of like German guys, and like, my friend from the academy was already there. So that's why I kind of like chose St. Francis. But I realized pretty quick that okay, played really well in the league, did really well in the classroom. So I was like, okay, I kind of like mastered that challenge, and now it's time to move on. Because like what I realized for myself, my whole career is like the moment you stop trying to like get better or like throughout like get into uncomfortable situations, find new challenges, that's when you get actually worse. Like you can't be like in a too comfortable environment, and that's kind of like what happened. I was like kind of like main guy in the team. Like again, like classroom was like everything in school was super easy. It was like yeah. After a while, I was like okay, like I need a new challenge. I need something that like really demands like the best for me, and that's how I was like okay, I need to transfer.
So it's interesting because you went through the transfer process, and a lot of players they think, okay, I'm going to go on the transfer portal. There's going to be a load of coaches emailing me, texting me. Probably for you, it was like that because you had good stats. But for the players wondering about transferring, from the moment that you sign your release papers and go in the portal, like what happens?
Um, it can be really scary to be honest. It's you lose your scholarship. The school can take away everything they gave you so far. So you should really think about doing it or not. As you said, like in my situation was kind of like it was almost like an obvious choice. Like the coaches, even though I haven't decided yet, the coaches expected me to leave. All my teammates told me, "Hey, well, you have to move on. You have to play on like the biggest stage in D1 because like you belong there." But like I have a friend who played for the same academy as me, D1, really good player, and went to the portal. He got second team in his conference, so not even like bad stats, but like he didn't find a school. Ended up going back home for one semester. He ended up going back to America and found another D1, but like still, it's not like you go in there and like every school reaches out to you. That's only like a very few percentage, and for the rest, it can be like a really hard reality. So you really have to think about it, doing it or not, because most of the coaches, if it doesn't work out, most of the coaches don't take you back because basically you decided to leave. So yeah.
So, for someone listening to this that thinks, because it's an interesting topic, Yoshi, because I talk to a lot of American players who say that, oh, I'm talking to Rutgers or I'm talking to St. Francis, right? And the coach just invited them to a camp or he just said, hey, come and watch a game and I'll talk to you. But for you, when you're getting recruited to a Division 1 school, how often is the coach texting you? How often is the coach calling you? Like how often when does he send you the offer? Like from the first moment you speak to him to the offer, like what is the Division 1 recruiting process like?
Um, it is. I would say it really depends on the school because you have some schools. I would say like they really wanted me, so it was like only a few phone calls, one or two Zoom calls, showed me everything, and then put the offer out there right away. Kind of like to put pressure on me, like okay, you have to decide for us, or we move on and find the next player. While other schools, they kind of like try to stretch a little bit the process because they want to take more time with it, and then they like respond maybe like every like 1 or 2 days, and then you have like one phone call every week, and then slowly a Zoom call, and then you're in contact with them for like 1.5, 2 months already. And then they send out the offer. So I think it really depends on the school. They do different kind of recruitment, and also like every school has like their kind of like list of players they want, right? So if you're the first player on that list, you probably get an offer pretty soon because they want to make sure you come there. But if they take their time, then you kind of know, okay, they probably talk to some other guys too. They maybe like want to see first if they can get another guy, and if not, then you may be the next guy on the list. So that's just the reality, and so that's how you kind of know if like how bad they really want to sign you. The way they do the respond time and how fast they put their offer out there. That's kind of like yeah, I think a good indicator.
And for you, Yoshi, what advice would you have for a player, German, French, English, American, What advice would you have for a player who's like, okay, I want to go and play Division 1 college soccer? What advice do you give that player?
I would say because I that's how I decided to choose my school twice. The most important thing was for me, I want to be in a place um, where they want me. I don't want to be in a place where they're just like, okay, he could fit, maybe, yeah, whatever. We just get him, maybe it works out or not. I want to be in a place where I really have the feeling the coach that wants me has a vision for me. They really want me, and I would rather choose. And that's what I did. I choose San Francisco, a small D1. Like not a lot of people know about it, but I chose that school because I knew the coach really wanted me, and like he had a vision for me and a plan for me, and he saw a future at that school for me. And I think having a coach that believes in you and believes in your future at that school is the most important thing, because you don't want to end up at a place where like they just sign you but like don't really care if you work out or not. So I think that's, for me at least, the most important thing.
What would you say for an international coming to the NCAA? What would be the easiest thing to adjust?
The easiest thing to adjust is work on the game fitness you need here, because that's something everyone can train. They put on your running shoes and just doing it. Get used to like a lot of sprints. Get used to the intensity of the game. That's something everyone can do. You don't even need a partner for that. Just go out there after practice, do your sprints. Yeah, I think that's the easiest thing you can do.
What's the biggest difference you see at Rutgers, but or in the Big Ten between American players and international players?
I would say the higher the level goes, the smaller the difference between like an international player and an American player gets. I think at St. Francis the difference was way bigger than it is here, because we have a lot of American players, for example, that like go to Europe and train there for a year or like played there for a little bit. So um, if I would guess again, it's like kind of like the European players have a little bit better, I would say, understanding of the game, because in the Big Ten or like ACC, like at that kind of level, like the game changes a little bit from like less like just back and forth, and like tactics become more and more important. So this strength of like really like understanding the game, like this really, let's say, high soccer IQ. We have guys like from Ajax Amsterdam Academy, for example, like they're so well trained in tactics, and you can, over like a 90-minute game, you can really see that. And I think that's sometimes like what separates like the European players a little bit from like the American players.
And for someone that's listening to this American player that's thinking, wow, Joschi plays at Rutgers. I would love to go and play at a school like Rutgers. I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but how do you think that your coach finds his roster? Is it agents? Is it going to tournaments? Is it traveling? Is it just reaching out to coaches, ID camps and emails? Like how does Rutgers squad come together and get recruited to play at Rutgers?
I mean, I think a big part is, as you mentioned before, it's networking. I think in general, like college soccer is so much about networking, and I think a lot of schools get their players from resources they trust. Obviously, every school is different, and um, like for example, like Rutgers, I know they go to tournaments. I know they do scouting all over the world. They have their ID camps. They have a lot of agencies they work with really close. But again, I think the most important thing is their like schools trust and like resources they worked out before. So if you have an agency, for example, that's what I mentioned before. That's why it's so important to be in a good agency, because if you're in an agency, they produce a lot of good players. Those schools will come back to those agencies and trust them again to like sign a new player from them. So I think that is probably like the most important factor. If like one resource of their scouting system works out really well, they will go back there. That's what I do all the time until like, I don't know, something else works out better. But yeah, if one agency works out really well for them, they will sign 1, 2, 3, 4 players from them over the next years. I think that's pretty much how it goes.
Because you're in the NCAA now playing at Rutgers, how do you deal with in the spring not playing football?
It's it's really weird. Like it's because like in Europe you don't have that. You have like soccer like pretty much all year long, right? And here it is like you have a super intense but still kind of like short season. So it's pretty much from August to hopefully December if you make it to the final to the final. But it's still a pretty short span. And in the spring, I think it's so important not to forget that you're like still preparing yourself for a big season. It's not like, oh, you have 4 months of season, 8 months off. That's not how it works. If you take those 8 months off, then you're so much behind because I realized that here to St. Francis, like the top teams, they still gonna compete. They still train like it's in the season. They still go after every single day. And for example, where I was at St. Francis, maybe a little bit more like, okay, it's off now. Yeah, we still practice. Yeah, we still have some friendlies, but it's less, I would say, focus or like intense. While here in the spring, you have like trainings like 2, 3 times a day, like individual sessions. You have like still friendlies, but against like top teams. And we played like Red Bull second team, for example, in the spring, and they're like still in season, so like they're still at their best level. So you have to understand that like even if you're in spring, there are guys out there that they will go after it every single day, so you can't take off.
What would you say is one of the things? Let's say that a player was going from America to Germany. How do you prepare?
Um, I would say watch a lot of film. Watch like no matter what level, if you go to like academy level, if you go, I don't know, third, fourth, fifth, second, first division, whatever it is, watch a lot of film of that league and try to figure out, okay, where can I fit in that, where are like my strengths that I can use in that, what stuff I will probably have to work on. And yeah, I think that's the best way before I actually got there to prepare for that kind of like environment. And again, make sure that your mindset is really open because it's the same when you come like from European like to come to America, like this open mindset and like be ready to adjust. I think is the most important thing. Yeah,
What's been your biggest challenge since leaving Germany?
my biggest challenge. That's a really good question. I would say um, being okay with not having like all the answers and have everything figured out. I think when you come over here and you think like, okay, yeah, I'm a really good soccer player, and I come here and I will crush it right away, whatever, right? And then, especially in the beginning, you will realize, oh, like I kind of struggle, like because the game is so different, because your teammates just play a different kind of soccer. So it will take you some time to adjust to it. It will take you some time to adjust maybe to the language. That how it was for me. The school is completely different. Like just the way of living is completely different here. So being okay with not having all the answers, with like struggling, I think that's the most important thing to like learn and move on quick and then be great. Because like you will be great if you're ready to like train hard, work hard, like to adjust to your circumstances, no matter like on and off the field. But you have to be okay with like understanding you're not there yet.
At the Division 1 level, who is the most difficult team that you've played against, and why were they the most difficult team?
Mm, the most difficult team I played against, I would say probably we played them with St. Francis, and I would say was West Virginia. They're in the Sun Belt Conference, always like one of the best teams in the countries usually, and they were really good because they had, like, first of all, an insane amount of like talent and quality in their squad, but also they found a really good balance between using their talent and individual quality, but also super disciplined. They had a game plan over 90 minutes and really structured. And those are kind of like things sometimes like teams don't have, I would say, here as much. It's like really good tactics, really structured, organized for 90 minutes, have a game plan. And West Virginia did that really like an insane level. Like I was really surprised, and I thought, okay, wow, this is like probably like the best America that I can offer.
So just my last question to you, Joschi, is for someone that's listening to this that wants to play college soccer,
Mm.
someone that's listening to this that's like, okay, I want to go and play college soccer, I want to take soccer seriously. What do you think it takes to be successful Division One college soccer player?
I think to throw yourself out there, and what I mean by that is to make sure people know about you, to make sure you network, to make sure you appear on like social media, to make sure you work hard, you bring in the stats, right? But also, I think a lot in America to be successful, to go pro, it's a lot about like how you represent yourself and if people know about you. And that's something you have to do it all the time. You have to make sure you train and work hard to perform, bring the quality on the field. But you also have to make sure, hey, as you said, like you talk to people when you like play USL too, maybe to get to a better team, to make sure you get a good highlight tape and make sure like people see them. You make sure like you appear a lot of like I don't know on like social media, so like people know about you. Because at the end of the day, you try to increase the chances that like you get people's attention as much as possible because you only need one person on the pro level who sees something in you and then signs you for the pro level. And only needs one person. So to increase the amount of attention you get, that's I think is the biggest chance for you to get that to find that goal to get the pro.
Amazing. Amazing, Joschi. Guys, that was a really interesting episode. I think you've heard kind of from someone that's doing it now at the Division One level, kind of their advice and everything. So, Joschi, I just want to say that was amazing. Some really good insights. Thank you so much. And guys, if you we'll obviously tag Joschi's Instagram. So if you learn something, you've heard it here first. It's about getting attention. His DMs are open. So shoot him with what you learn. And yeah, Joschi, thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. It was awesome. Absolutely appreciate it.